Trevor, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Yeah.
When he got bundled out of Arsenal, you said he was unfairly cancelled by the football club at the time. You still stand by that?
In a way, yes. I think we have to put into context what we've just been through. We've been through 2 years of a pandemic, which I've never had to play through, but I wouldn't like to. And I commend all the players that have done that to a high standard. His mum wasn't well, and yeah, he was probably having a tough time, and that might have been one of the reasons why he was late, and he had a couple of situations where him and Arteta didn't agree on.
So you still think it was a wrong decision to boot him out?
Well, I think it was dealt with wrong. I think if you look at a manager's objective at a football team, it's either get the best out of a player or get the most for him. And I don't think Mikel Arteta did either. He didn't get the best out of the player, and whether that was out of his control because of what was going on with his mum, whether that was out of his control because he didn't deal with the pandemic well, we don't know. But he certainly wasn't getting the best out of him for the last 12, 18 months of his contract while he was at Arsenal. But we all know what he can do when he was playing well in the previous period. Before his contract, some might say, but we all know what he was doing before the time where his form started to struggle. What we're seeing now is, since he arrived at Barcelona, he is a consistent player. He is a consistent goal scorer. It's one of the most difficult things to do in the game. And throughout his whole career, and I'm talking about 225 goals in 400 games of his career, 32-year-old, he's consistently scored more than 1 in 2 games. So for me, I feel that it wasn't dealt with properly, and Arsenal are probably about £30 million short of what they could have got for him if they would have dealt with him without decapitating him in public and cancelling him in public as they did, and I thought they did.
So, as you say, Aubameyang's gone. He's at Barcelona. 7 in 7 games for Barcelona. Of course, he played a major part in their thumping 4-0 win over Real Madrid.
9.
And, of course, when... say again?
9.
9 what?
He scored 2 the other night, so he scored 9 now.
9, okay. So now, I mean, when in between going from Arsenal to Barcelona, Simon, many people were saying, is that it? I mean, he's done, isn't he? He'll be a done force. Aubameyang, the irony of that was not lost on him this week, and he tweeted earlier this week, hello from the finished player.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, you're still not having him.
I mean, Trevor's right in some respects, which is get the best out of someone or get the most for them. But in the real world, where the grown-ups live, if you've got a problem in your dressing room, what you do is you get rid of it. That's the third get. The challenge for me is that everybody that had any sense knew that this player would go to Barcelona and in the short term would score goals because he's a decent player. He'd go there in the short term. But short-termism is one of the problems that football has. Because if you're looking at the bigger picture and you're looking at the overall aspiration to build a football club in the image of a culture that's built upon respect, integrity, decency, performance, recognition, reward, all of those things, Pierre Aubameyang would not have fitted that profile. Because up until the point where he got a new contract, and Trevor's absolutely correct, he was a problem in Dortmund and he was given a licence to behave in a certain way. Came over with a reputation that for a couple of years he didn't live up to. All this idea that he was
98 goals in 144 games.
Listen, I'm going to get to that. He scored 1 goal in every 1.4 games. Right? Gets a new contract, makes him the highest player, one of the highest players in Arsenal's history, and for the next 18 months scores 1 goal in 3 games.
But he was a wealthy man anyway. So, I don't think you can bring the money into it. He went there for 60 million quid.
He did bring the money into it because he spent all his time telling us, whilst putting egg timers up there, about how important it was for him to get his new contract at 350 grand a week. We didn't want that information. He couldn't wait to tell us it and wait for us all to hold our breath while we all waited for him to sign his contract. And then we waited for the next 18 months for him to live up to it. At the same time as being given the captaincy of the club, at the same time as then reverting to a type of behaviour which is not becoming of a leader inside a football club. At the same time, for all we know, as not having the outlook or disposition to want to fix the problem that he himself had created. So you disregard
COVID and you disregard his mother being unwell?
I disregard it in the same way I disregard it for the other 2,500 players that play in football. He doesn't get a pass. He doesn't get the exception that everyone else doesn't have to have.
But if you said that he's been having this behaviour over the whole of his career...
Correct.
He's obviously been allowed to behave like that.
Correct.
Why would that change because he's got a new
Mikel
contract?
Arteta has turned around and said, I want Arsenal to be an elite football club, and I don't think the composition of that is made up with people like Pierre.
So why give him the contract? He signed the contract under
because
under
at that time, everything he had done until that point...
And everything he continues to do.
Potentially,
in all honesty.
In the short term. I think everybody...
How can you say short term?
He's only been at Barcelona
400 games, 225 goals. That's not short term.
Great, Trev.
That's consistent.
That's great, Trev. But we're talking about now, not what he's
But
done in the past.
that's not short term. That's the whole of his career.
Short term is what I'm talking about in terms of what he's doing now at Barcelona. What he's done for the last 18 months.
What he's done for the last 10,
by your
12
logic,
years.
by your logic, Trev, right? What we do
years.
is we sit around for 2 years, waiting for someone to pull their finger out, right? Whilst they rock in late as the leader of the pack, right? And that's your blueprint for how a successful football club should be run by its manager.
I don't think he's changed.
What's that got to do with the price of cheese?
But why give him the contract in the first place? That's the mistake, if there's any mistake being made.
Because possibly the expectation level and the growing into his skin of a manager that knew what it really took, goes in with theory, understands that he wants to build a football club in his image, realises that becoming a manager is far different from being a player, starts to assert himself, looks to his captain.
Okay.
Captain, can you come along and help me? Now, sod off, I'll get him when I feel like it and my performance will stink.
Yeah.
But by the way, I'll put an egg timer up when I get a new contract. Yeah. And then what I'll do is, I'm not.
But why not just manage that situation? Why not just manage that situation
well,
better?
He did manage it. He managed it to the satisfaction. Let me finish. He managed the satisfaction of those that he worked for. He managed the satisfaction for those that wrote the checks. Well, it must be because they allowed him to do it. Well, otherwise, he wouldn't be doing it.
But if he managed it differently, he could have got money for Aubameyang, got him out the door,
but they clearly thought he couldn't.
Well, let me jump in. We're
going
to take a break. I mean, what we are saying, to be fair, Trevor, Arsenal didn't kick him out for no reason.
No, I understand that.
And now he's gone to Barcelona. And to be fair to you, yes,
he's done what he's done.
He's done well. But as Simon rightly says, this is short term at the moment.
Yeah, but form is temporary, class is permanent, and I think we're starting to understand that he might have had a blip in his form
2 years.
At the wrong time. Arsenal were going through a difficult time at that time as well.
Did he help then?
Well, I'm not saying he did help, but what I'm saying
he's a
is
hindrance
all the other players are accountable as well.
All the other during the 18-month periods.
But
all the other players are accountable
as
well.
What are we going to see now at Barcelona? So we'll put it out there. Were Arsenal right to get rid of Aubameyang, in spite of the fact that he is showing signs of showing that he is a player we all thought he might be? 03717 223344.
And he needed to be kicked out, and he got exactly what he deserved, and more power to Arteta for doing it. That's a proper football manager running his football club.
You came from nowhere with that, so Simon's made it clear. He thinks they were right to get rid. Do you? 81089.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.